You're locked inside a 30-ton steel box. It's 50 degrees Celsius. The battle has been raging for 8 hours straight, and you really need to pee. What do? This was the everyday reality for tank crews in World War II, and the answer is more disgusting and more clever than you'd think. By the end of this video, you'll know why tank designers ignored the problem, the household item used as a toilet, and the brutal trick veterans used to avoid the issue. First, the obvious question: why didn't tanks come with a bathroom? Look at a Sherman, a T-34, a Tiger. From the outside, they look like enormous steel monsters weighing 40 tons. But step inside. A Sherman's crew compartment was roughly the size of a small bathroom, and it had to fit 5 men, an engine, ammunition racks, radio equipment, and a full-sized cannon. Every cubic inch was accounted for. There wasn't room for a toilet. There wasn't even room to turn around without elbowing someone in the face. So tank designers made a choice. Crews would just hold it. The assumption was that battles would be short, and crews could relieve themselves outside the vehicle during refueling. In theory. In practice, well, that's where it gets messy. So what actually happened when nature called? The most common solution was already sitting on the floor: empty shell casings. A WW2 tank cannon casing was big. We're talking the size of a tall water bottle, sometimes bigger. Solid brass, hollow. And once the round was fired, the casing was just clutter rolling around, so crews repurposed them. Pee in the casing. Cap it with a rag. Toss it out the hatch when you got a chance. Tank veterans described the same scene: brass casings rolling around the floor during long engagements. Some empty from combat, some not. If you didn't have a casing, an empty ration can, a water bottle, a helmet in desperate moments. Many crews kept dedicated containers for the purpose. Soviet tankers often had a metal bucket they called the honey bucket. And no, the name was not affectionate. But all of this was the easy version of the problem. This was just for number one. For the other thing, that's where tank warfare gets genuinely grim. Here's what most people don't realize about tank combat. It wasn't always quick. At Kursk in 1943, the largest tank battle in history, Soviet T-34 crews stayed buttoned up inside their tanks for extended periods, sometimes well over 24 hours. German Tiger crews at Normandy faced similar marathons. The Battle of the Bulge, North Africa in summer, the Eastern Front in winter. You could not just open the hatch. Outside that hatch was machine gun fire, snipers, artillery, and infantry with anti-tank weapons. Popping the hatch, even for 30 seconds, could be a death sentence. And inside the tank, temperatures hit 50 degrees Celsius, 122 Fahrenheit. The engine alone was pumping out heat. Add a Mediterranean summer or a North African desert, and the metal box became an oven. Crews drank constantly. They sweated through their uniforms. And then they paid the price. Tank veterans wrote about going 36 hours without leaving the vehicle. About peeing into casings every hour. About worse, soiling themselves and continuing to fight, because stopping wasn't an option. There's a reason every tank crew memoir mentions the smell. By the end of a long battle, the inside of a Sherman or a T-34 was a soup of sweat, gun smoke, oil fumes, motion sickness, vomit, and human waste. It was not glamorous, it was survival in the most basic sense. Now we get to the part nobody puts in war movies. What about number 2? For most of WW2, there was no good answer. If you needed to defecate during combat, your options were hold it, use a helmet or container, or accept the worst. But here's where tank crews got clever, almost grimly so. Many learned to fast before missions. The morning of, they'd skip breakfast or eat dry bread, no coffee, nothing that might run through them. Some went further. Tank crews on the Eastern Front reported deliberately dehydrating themselves, drinking just enough to stay functional, not enough to need to urinate. It was brutal. It led to heat stroke, kidney problems, crews collapsing from dehydration after battles. But it was better than the alternative. Many veterans described the first thing they did after a battle the same way: climb out, walk 50 meters from the tank, finally relieve themselves. Some described it as the best feeling of their lives. After hours buttoned up in a steel coffin, just being able to step outside and pee in the grass felt like freedom. If you found this interesting, you'll want to know about the other things WW2 tank crews dealt with, like why so many came home permanently deaf, and the bizarre superstition that may have saved a Sherman crew at Normandy. Subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.